Hi, I'm Megan Elliott, co-founder and managing director of Ginger Cloud Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us for Series 2 of our podcasts, Creating Inclusion Ambassadors. The aim of this podcast series is to provide a platform where people can share their stories of inclusion within their communities. And we'll begin to learn the skills needed for all of us to ask why not to inclusion and accessibility. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Megan.
Thanks so much for joining us today to share with us your stories of your community, the barriers to inclusion and participation that you see, and how you are becoming a champion for change. We'll be asking you questions that will help us understand who you are, why inclusion matters to you personally, and the barriers that you've seen, and what you've done to champion the inclusion of girls, boys and young adults with autism, Asperger's or other learning and perceptual disabilities. So to start off, just tell us a little bit about who you are.
The basics. I'm 19, third year out of school now, and third year uni student. I'm at UQ at the moment studying secondary teaching and arts. And I've been part of the MRP now this will be going on my third year, which is very exciting. So, yes.
Fantastic. Now, I love that shirt that you're wearing
thank you,
as well.
thank you.
Kitty, so do you want to describe for us what's your role within Ginger Cloud?
So this year I've been starting a new role in the last couple of weeks. I am now the regional coordinator for Brisbane's clubs, MRP clubs. So there's 8 clubs across Brisbane that I'll be looking after, helping the families and everyone involved in MRP. Which is very exciting.
Fantastic. Well, we're very excited that you are a part of our role formally as well. So after being a player mentor and then an assistant coach and now a regional coordinator.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And also support working with Max, which
yes.
is lovely.
Yeah, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit more about that. What does that look like?
Well, I've been support working with Max and your family now for the past year and a half, which is time flies, gosh. But I've been Max's primary support worker now. We've just got a new one, luckily. But no, I've been working with Max, just doing all sorts of stuff, really, building his confidence, building his social skills, picking him up from school, doing the bus, tying shoelaces, all of that sort of stuff. But I think the most exciting part at the moment is teaching him how to drive. But it's been the most life-changing job I've ever had, honestly. Like, I look at all my friends and they, go to Macca's or go to their cafes for work, and I get to go and get Max every day, which is so exciting because he has developed so much in the last year that I've been working with him, and being able to see those small changes but also on a big scale is incredible. It's just so cool, really.
Well, you've changed his life.
Yeah, and he's changed mine just as much. Everyone says that. Everyone's like, oh, you're doing great things for him. And I say, well, he's doing great things for me too. Yeah, you learn a lot in a relationship like that. It's a lot of give and take, which is fantastic. So, yeah.
And Kitty, are you his favourite anymore?
No. So I got replaced very quickly, very bad in the first minute, I think. Yeah, he clapped eyes on Tom and that was it. So he got a new best friend and I've just been cast to the shadows. I'm like the bad cop. So, I'm the one that still makes him do his homework and uses his manners, and him and Tom just go off and have too much fun. No, I'm the one that says no to Betty's Burgers every day. So it's very funny though. But it's also great. I don't mind being the bad cop when you get to see him making so many friends. It's just,
you're not really the bad cop.
Oh, I think I am. Like, he just rolls his eyes at me. Like, when you guys came home from holidays, he came downstairs, hadn't seen him in about 3.5 weeks, and he just looks at me and goes, oh, are you here to make me do homework? And I was like, no, I'm sorry, Max. I missed you too. So it's very funny though, very funny.
No. Oh, and tell us, we obviously know a little bit about your family, but tell us how your family values and the way you've been brought up has really impacted what you're doing now.
I adore my family. I feel very lucky to have such a fantastic family. I am the baby, so the favourite by far. I've got, my mum is a nurse and my dad's a journalist, so they're both, I like to say, very worldly people. They've instilled in me a lot of values of openness and inclusion and just compassion, which is definitely what I thrive on, and I think that's definitely what our house is like. If you bring someone in, a friend, a partner, anything like that, they then become a part of our family. There's always a seat at the table for them, and I think that's been such a great value that has been instilled in me, and I hope that I can continue that on every day. And I think I get that a lot from my parents. I've always been able to chat to people. I've always been very open to people, and it's just it's allowed me to make some wonderful friendships with all sorts of people, which is great. It fills your life with a lot of colour. Yeah.
And so on that note, how did you connect with us? Tell everyone that story.
Well, I wasn't actually a part of your team at MRP, so I very luckily got asked to come along and help at the extended 4 weeks at the end of the program in 2018 now. And I got to meet Max and I got to meet your family, and I think I made a good impression. But no, I had so much fun with that team, and I got chatting to you guys and chatting to a lot of the families and things, and I think I was really excited and just kept asking if there was any opportunities in any way to help, and you came and contacted me and said, come on, Max needs a friend, and I was absolutely up for that, so which was very exciting, and you've been stuck with me ever since. So,
so tell us about, because Rhett spoke to you at uni about it, so because that's an interesting part about how the word about, Ginger Cloud is being spread, and inclusion and participation. So tell us how that happened.
Well, so Rhett and I actually met in grade 6. So my brother was his debating coach, and so we go way back. And we just clicked and became friends and have been friends ever since. And I had a bit of a tough time at school, and after school I was just, you get that after school blues where you go, what on earth am I doing with my life? Like, I don't know what I want to do at uni or all of that sort of stuff. And I was chatting to Rhett one day, and he went, oh, come on, like, you need to come down and do MRP, because he knows that I've been involved in the Sony Camp Foundation for quite a few years. Mum's one of the nurses at the church in St. Margaret's Sony Camp, so she'd been taking me for a long time, and that was always my favourite weekend of every year. And he went, well, you can do this every week now, so get your butt down to Brothers. And I was like, all right. And I called that week, and we were halfway through the season, and the guy was like, this is your lucky week. If you'd called me last week, I wouldn't have had a spot for you, but we've got one, so come on down today. And I was there about an hour later, which was just when all your stars align, really. So I was down there and then just hooked and haven't left. So, but no, it was very exciting, and I think Rhett has become a very valuable part of my community, and he's also introduced me to the MRP community, which has become my life now. So, which is just fantastic.
And how did you feel? I remember you told me a story once about how you felt when you first went down to that training
terrified.
session.
Like, but I was excited. I felt like, MRP aligns with a lot of what I believe in, but it also it matches my passion for sport and for people. So it was the perfect fit. And I remember walking down there, I didn't really have anywhere to go, and I walked over to my team now, and within the first 2 minutes, it was fantastic. Everyone was chit-chatting. We were already laughing. Like, it was just one of those things that just clicked, and it felt right. It just felt like exactly where I had to be. Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because so many of the stories that we share and the power of what people think about the modified rugby program is for the kids like Max.
Yeah.
But when I spoke to you about that, I really understood for everyone that sense of having a place where you belong is so important. And I think one of the key elements that through what we're doing now with this alumni program is looking at our community, and particularly looking at the community, your age, about 18 to 25, and thinking about who do you see as in your community now?
Well, I see MRP as my community, truly. Like, I have gotten my family, like my boyfriend's involved in it now. A lot of my friends come from MRP, and to me, community is that place that it's the people you pick to have around you. It's the people that match your values but make you a better you. And I think MRP has done that for me completely. Like, I see the other mentors across all the clubs at MRP now and things, and that's our social group now, and that's the group that I now work in and all of that as well. So it's a place where I guess, people are matching my values and they're making me a better person, but you're also getting to achieve things within that community. You're getting to make that a better place for a lot of other people.
So then how would you define your role within that community now?
Well, it's very funny, as you were saying before, you see me as a leader in my group, but I don't know, I actually see myself as more of like a student. Like, I'm learning from a lot of people around me. I spend a lot of time listening to my friends and what they're passionate about and all of that sort of stuff, and I think that's what's important in community is if you play a role where people can come to you and talk to you about things that they're passionate about, and you just get this greater understanding of the world and in turn create inclusion. You're making a place where people feel safe to be themselves and to not be judged, I guess. So, but I also, as good as a listener, I'm a very good talker as well. And I think I also see myself as a bit of an educator in my community as well, because I go out there and I talk about MRP all day, every day. And I've become that person that my friends can go to, because a lot of my friends don't understand disability. I didn't know it very well before MRP and things. And a lot of them don't understand it either. So they know now that they can come to me and go, look, Kitty, like, I don't understand this. What's it about? What's going on? Like, you know, you work with Max, but what is autism? They just don't know. And I can be that person now that goes, well, this is it. And you get to educate a whole bunch of other people. So it's like, as you say, within MRP, we're creating a community of people that now not only understand but accept disability, and it's now just a normal part of everyday life for everyone. And now I get to do that to my friends. So yeah, it's awesome.
It's funny, interesting how that sometimes that not tag, but referring to yourself as a leader is often kind of, people go, oh, I'm not, am I really leading? And I loved so James Clyden said before that he leads by what he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I see so much of that with you as well. You don't have to say what you're doing, because you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
And I think that's where the power of community happens, because we reflect. You attract people who share those values, but then you help them take their values to another level as well.
Yeah, and that's what MRP did for me. It allowed me to kind of, like, you have all those feelings and that want to help people, but you don't know how to. And MRP allowed me to channel that, and it's now allowing me to help other people channel that as well. They have an insight. Like, I've got a lot of friends that have joined MRP now because they saw how passionate I was about it, and they realized that they could do something. And MRP is so simple. It's 2 hours a week, and you get to change your life and someone else's life. And just nothing beats the smiles on those kids' faces when they score a try. Like, it just makes your week every week.
Yeah, it does make your week every week, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how important, from a community perspective, do you think education is? Obviously, you've chosen it as a career as well. But
absolutely.
Have you thought about why you've gone down that path?
Absolutely. I think, I was a bit of a nerd at school. I loved learning. But I think, the only thing you have in life is learning. The only thing that's like a guarantee is that you're going to learn something new. And the only way you can go do that is through education. And I think it's just so, so powerful. Like, I've seen how it changed my life when I got to start learning about disability and all that sort of stuff. And I see how much it changes my friends and my family as well. And I think you can just be so empowered with education. Yeah.
And so these years that you're in now, sort of 18 to 25, what's so important about them in terms of shaping the future of inclusion and participation? How do you see that?
Well, I think these are the years that you lay your foundations. I think these are the years that you do all your figuring out. And it's what puts you on that right track to where you want to go. And it's, if you can figure all that stuff out and start figuring out where you want to go, you'll only ever get stronger in leading where you go. If you've got good foundations, you've got a good building.
When you think back about family experiences and school experiences and things that you've had, it's like now you get to choose your own path.
Exactly.
Where in many ways in school it was the people were there because the people were there. They weren't there because you chose them.
Exactly.
And I suppose, as you say, now's the power and the time to go out and find, not even necessarily find that community, but what I love about what you do and what Rhett and what James does and what Nathan does is you guys also create community.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, is when you're 19, like I am, you're 100% allowed to make mistakes. You can blame it on being naive and youthful, and that's fantastic, because you can go down one path and go, oh God, and start running back and then find another one. Like, you are allowed to pick and change and go, yep, nope, until you find what you're happy with.
And how important has giving been in that shaping of you?
I think it's really important, giving. If you don't have anything to give, you've got nothing to get, sort of thing. Like, my mum always said to me, what you put in the bucket is what you get out of life, and things like that. And I always agree with that. Like, giving isn't something that I consciously think to do. I think it's just part of who I am and part of my fabric. But if you can't give, you're not going to get anything in return either. So I think you can't get anywhere without giving a little.
And obviously you know Max well now.
Yes.
Yeah. What are some of the barriers to inclusion and participation that you've experienced with him, or that you see him face?
Oh, it scares me. It's just this fear that people have. It's this fear of, if they don't know, they're going to be shamed, or it's a bad thing. It's just that not understanding. Yeah, and I think it's like with MRP, you're just empowering people to understand what autism is, like Down syndrome, all of those disabilities. And if people are armed with that knowledge, then they'll do great things, and there won't be any more barriers.
And I was chatting to James too about one of the things that we hear a lot now is, I want to be inclusive. I'm happy to be inclusive. And then you go, okay, so what do you need to do about that?
Yeah.
Or how do you do that, and what does that look like? And they can't picture that, or they can't find a solution to make that work. I remember, so people used to say to us when we started the modified rugby program, they'd say, but why isn't rugby doing this? They should be doing this. And we'd say, well, why should they be doing it? It's not been their experience.
Exactly.
It's not their understanding. Why would we ever expect anyone else to understand our life, Max's life, Lara's life, unless we shared that with people?
Exactly.
And I think also going with that expectation of you shall do never gets you anywhere, because the contribution is the thing that creates that community. Absolutely. Isn't it? As you say, that giving is when you, there's an old marketing kind of saying, which is you give, ask, give, ask, which is basically you need to create trust with people.
Absolutely.
But also you need to share that sometimes things are really hard. We don't expect you to solve the problem, but together, if we come together as a community,
absolutely,
I bet you together we could find the solution. We can't do it independently, but I reckon if we all put our smart heads in a room, we could find a way to do it.
And I think that's the thing, is people fear so much what they don't know that they don't ask. When I came to MRP on that first day, I was in the deep end, and I was fine because I just would turn to one of the other mentors and go, all right, like, what am I doing? What do I need to do? And I found that a lot, like, especially being an assistant coach. Tim was running the team and everything like that, and he had all of the kids to look after. So occasionally a mentor would just not have any clue what to do. So I'd go over and be like, well, you can tell them to do something. You can tell them, hey, look, you actually can't run away. You need to come over here. And they were all like, oh, what? Like, can I do that? And I was like, yeah, you need to. Like, that kid's running off. You need to stop him before he gets to the road. All of that sort of stuff. And I think it's just that understanding that if you don't know, that's completely okay. Just ask. Just ask someone who does understand. And when I had problems with Max that I don't know how to deal with, I came to you in the beginning and went, all right, Megan, I don't know what's going on. I want to be able to look after Max the best I can. So how do we do this together? How do I find a solution? And you even sometimes are like, we don't know what we're doing either. This is life changes as it goes along, and you've just got to figure it out together. And that's it. I think that's where community is so important, because if you don't know, you have to have those people around you that you feel like you can ask and go, I don't understand. Please just lend me an ear and some advice. Yeah.
Why, for you, why does inclusion really matter?
I was brought up knowing that, inclusion to me is no one gets left behind. And that's always been the rule in our family. No matter what, no one gets left behind. And I think inclusion matters to me so much. We've all seen those movies or had those experiences where you're the last person chosen, the last person to get your present. And kids like Max have had to have that feeling their whole life. And that's just, it's so unfair. I think inclusion is so important because no one else should ever feel like that, let alone for their whole life.
A little bit of a summary for kind of the end of our chat is, what would you say to someone at uni who you'd met for the first time, that wanted to know how to do inclusion well? What would you say to them?
I think just be open and honest, and just listen to people, listen to their stories, listen to their life, and be open with who you are too and what's important to you as well. I think the only way you can ever be inclusive is if you are real, if you know what people are going through, what people's struggles are, if they know your struggles too.
Well, Kitty, thank you. That's just that's amazing. But I was wondering whether there's anything else that you Is there anything else that you'd like to share, or any other stories you'd like to add about what it all means to you?
That's a tough one. Again, so hard at talking about myself. I think, MRP really has become my life, and it really has changed my life. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but at the end of the day, MRP does mean the world to me, and I see this as an opportunity to change the world. I see it as generating a whole bunch of people now who do inclusion every single day, who see a child. Like, I hope that, like, when I grow up, my child can get on a bus, whether they have autism or not, and no matter who they're sitting next to, they can chat. That's all I want in the world, is for people to just be friends and have friends. That's all that I see MRP as, is I see it as a bunch of people coming to hang out and be mates.
Thank you. That's really, really beautiful. And you are a member of our family now, and it's just every day we see Max change and grow, and then all that Tom does with him as well. And your reaction when we sent you that video of Max driving for the first time, I mean, we never, but if people understood what planning and what work it took you and Tom to make that happen, they would be so proud of your commitment, your just your ability to understand what Max needs. And if we can create many more young people like you, if we can nurture more young people like you, I would die so happy knowing that that we have created a generation of young people for whom disability is normalised, and that's what we really want to do.
Yeah, well, you make it easy. You make it so easy to be a part of something so fantastic. And I hope you know that we do this for Max too, and we do this for these kids too, because they deserve the world. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you.